You were listening to episode 200 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, this week we're celebrating 200 episodes with a collection to last you the rest of your life. All this for under $500 in this Desert Island special!
Dude, I love it. So I am shocked but not surprised that we have hit 200 episodes. And to help us celebrate 200 episodes, we have two of our long-time podcasting friends. We got Church, the Game Grinder, and we've got Jason, Corpsewell Gaming, on with us.
Yay! What's up?
Not much, man.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Big congrats.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We always love to have some guests on our special episodes, and who better to join us with building an awesome collection to last you the rest of your life than you guys. So thank you.
Yeah. It's good to be doing one again after it seems like we average about 2 episodes of the Game Tenants a year now. So
So this is a special Game Tenants reunion episode.
Yeah.
no, we reunite pretty regularly, but
Yeah.
it's not a podcast.
Gotcha. Church, if you want to kick it off with like some of the Game Grinder stuff, if you're,
Sure,
doing
yeah.
anything to date or not.
Yeah, so as I said, I'm Church of the Game Grinder. I do YouTube, and with Jason, we also have the Game Tennis Podcast, but we haven't really been recording that a whole lot as of late, but, it'll probably happen again sometime. My YouTube, I do a lot of, kind of like the podcast, not as much videos lately, but I still do everybody's favorite format of YouTube gaming videos, which is the unboxing video. But in the past, I used to do pickup videos, and I got some pretty decent reviews here and there. And then I'm also an occasional host of the Cartridge Club podcast, which is a Game of the Month community. And I really encourage anybody who's interested in a Game of the Month club to check out the Cartridge Club, because it is one of the most welcoming and friendliest gaming communities online. And it's a lot of fun.
Seconded that is all true. Put the blue check mark next to that. It is verified. Especially the comment about everyone's favorite format being the unboxing. Keep them going. I'm riveted every time, so I don't like the sarcasm there. All right, so what have you guys been up to since the last time we've been on? It's been quite a while since we had a good visit.
Is John talking?
I think he's muted.
I am muted, which is fine because I was actually I was like, why is Jason talking over me right now? Like, this is crazy. Like, does he realize I'm trying to talk? No, I was gonna say, Jason, if you want to give us a quick update on what you're doing.
Okay, I was just like taking the reins and talking a little bit.
It's like I am now the host.
Yeah, just coming to guest host. He's good. Well, I'm not up to as much YouTube. Still have the passion for it, just not the time, as life seems to always get in the way here. But I have my own podcast on my channel, Corpsewell Gaming, where I do the Super Enabler Bros podcast with Chris, the old ass retro gamer, and we often have guests on, and Church is one of our most recent guests. So we have been getting them podcasts and making them come out of the shadows once in a while. So that's good. That's basically mostly what I've been doing with my YouTube channel. I've got 18 months worth of Video Games Monthly boxes. I'm going to do a live stream and open all them shits up and see what kind of goodies I get, what kind of doubles I get, because I forgot that I remained subscribed to it when I was cut off from the border during COVID. And I was pleasantly surprised with 1.5 years of boxes. So here's hoping not too many doubles, not too many things I already have. They were pretty good for it when you update your list, but when you don't even know you're getting them, and my wife didn't tell me she was still paying for them with her credit card, Yeah, we'll see what we get. So hopefully sooner rather than later, I'll be doing those.
That's going to be one to watch. I'm actually pretty excited about that.
Yeah, so a year and a half at once, and I'm doing this. Oh, I missed a month. Here's 2 months in a row. It's going to be a big one. I just got to get Araya ready to go because it's tradition that we do those together. And my oldest son seems to be pretty jazzed to do that too. And quite frankly, I'm tired of moving the stack of boxes around. So I'd like to get them open and on the shelf, so I don't need to worry about that. And sell the doubles if there happens to be any.
Well, in today's gaming market, you've had 18 months of video games that were maybe $2 back, then, and now they're like $200 just because of how everything's gone.
It's appreciating in value. Maybe 1 month, all I got was Wii Sports.
Yeah, but now that Wii Sports is $50, Jason.
Yeah. So who knows?
That's one of the stupid ones, by the way. If you look at Wii Sports pricing right now, it's like absurd.
When it was
It's
going
like,
for
I
mean, a lot of stuff is going for stupid prices.
Well, Wii Sports especially, there was like, that was one of the ones where collectors were like trying to corner the market by buying up all the copies when they were super cheap, and it just jumped up the prices.
So what you're saying is I need to buy Link's crossbow training or whatever. Like
every copy you see.
Every copy and flood the market.
Yeah.
Well, someone was doing that with Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo, and I don't think it spiked very much when they had the 500 copies or whatever they did of it.
Like as a unified front, we could buy all of Link's crossbow training.
Yeah. I think the catch with the Wii Sports is that's an actual like desirable game.
Yeah, the funniest thing though, it came with like literally every Wii, as far as I know. Maybe there was like 1 or 2 bundles that didn't come with it because most people assume that Tetris came with every single Game Boy. And I had a Game Boy when they were new, and I'd never owned Tetris for it until I started collecting, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But that's like if Mario Duck Hunt was $100 game, go across the board when you're like, that came with every NES. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, Wii Sports, you have to account for the amount of broken games and then all of ones jammed in old Wii consoles that got thrown in the trash.
Yeah.
There's 2 versions too. There's one earlier version that like you can speed run faster or something because it doesn't have a specific like trigger action in one of the baseball cutscenes or something stupid.
Why would you want to speed run Wii Sports?
Dude, it's a crazy video. Summoning Salt has a great video on the Wii Sports speed run scene, and it's awesome.
I'll have to check that out. I like his videos.
I still like that there was like a 90-year-old man that had a world record for the most like perfect games or something
that's
like
right.
that on
Wii
bowling. Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that in the book when I was going for my record. I was like, sweet, something to fall back on. I'll just crush this old guy's record. I still routinely crush the kids at work at that game. So I'm in practice. I went from not playing it for several years to being like, you ever played this? Oh, let me see. It's like 5 strikes in a row. Yeah, I dabble.
He's going to be the old man at like a futuristic arcade down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like pool sharking people's money the whole time.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince when he played pool that one time. Break out Lucille. I'll do my own controller.
It's going to be like a pink Wiimote or something.
Yeah. Break out Lucille.
Jeez. Well, Ryan, if you want to paint the picture for us on this special episode 200 and what we're doing here.
So we all get transported to a desert island. There is a game store there with like a decently, friendly shop owner, a guy you could play a game with. And you've got $500. You've got a TV, you've got electricity. Those are accounted for. You got to buy consoles. You got to buy games. You got to entertain yourself for the rest of your days. If you want to go multiplayer, you're allowed to play with the shopkeeper.
I will say that once you pick up these 500 games, there's no trading. All games disappear except for Joe Montana Sports Talk. It is the only thing that remains on the shelf. So you are given that as a gimme.
Nice.
Yeah. So Ryan, if you want to kick us off, talk a little bit about what you were going to be playing for the rest of your days on this deserted island.
All right. So I think we all were talking earlier and we all had kind of a difficult time putting together a list. I had to start with just one console and fill out as much ideal stuff as I could pick out there. Try to get, some of my favorite titles in there if I could. and then really evaluate if it was even worth trying to get a second console, because that console price is going to dip into however many games you could fill out. And I did a lot more modern than I really thought I would have wound up going, but I think it wound up paying off in the end. So the first console I landed on was the Switch. Because, on a deserted island, do you really want to be sitting in front of the TV all day when you could go lay back in your banana hammock and just hang under the trees and have a coconut on the side? That's where you're hanging out, having a good time in the tropics. So I also went with the Nintendo Switch Animal Crossing edition, because surprisingly on price charting, and I even saw on eBay, it's pretty cheap. So
Cheaper than the regular console
feel. That's what it said. I was shocked, but whatever. That's what I went with.
Yeah.
Now,
So
did you go complete in box or loose on your Switch games?
loose.
Okay.
I went loose for everything. It's a deserted island. I'm the only person there. I'll make sure those games don't get scratched.
Loose Ryan.
So favorite game of all time, Resident Evil 4. I needed a way to play Resident Evil 4. They got the Resident Evil triple pack, which has 4, 5, and 6. I've never played 6. Maybe eventually, with the rest of my life ahead of me, I'll get around to it and find out the deeper meaning behind why they did what they did and why it matters really in the end.
Now, quick question though, is Resident Evil, that collection, do you get screwed over because there's no internet on the island, right? So is that one of those carts where it's all on there, or did you buy it thinking, oh, I could totally play all these games, but they're download only?
I tried to look that up on most of them. I don't know if I looked it up on this one.
We'll just say for all intents and purposes, it is on the cart for you, I guess. So
it does not have the big download image on the front of the box. Oh wait, no, it does say. It does say there's a download code for.
Well, at least you're on a desert island, so you can scream into the void for your.
4 is the game that's on the cart. That's the one I really wanted, anyways. So if I got to take the L on 5 and 6, I guess I will. But 4 is what I really wanted.
The shopkeeper tricks you into buying Resident Evil 4 and doesn't tell you about the download versions.
Then I got Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because what better way to stay busy forever? I also got Super Mario 3D All-Stars. It was only a limited time release, but thank God the shopkeeper has it there at a reasonable price.
He probably has 60 copies because it wasn't that limited.
Followed by Breath of the Wild. It's the ultimate Switch game, I think. And there's so much imagination and room in that game that I feel like revisiting that, doing it in different orders, going straight for the boss in like a hard mode challenge. Like there's a lot of replayability to that game. Next up, I went with Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2. I've not really ever been a fan of the Mega Man games, but they're hard as balls, and what better way to spend all the rest of my days than sharpening my skills at Mega Man?
Good point.
Yeah. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, awesome trio of games. Great to have. And
actually, I played Crash Bandicoot, the trilogy, I guess, the remake. I guess it was a couple of years ago, and I didn't remember like how hard that game was until I started playing it again. Like it's decently hard. It's not like impossible, but I'm just like, there were certain levels that it took me forever to kind of progress. I'm like, how the hell did I do this as a kid with like no issue?
Yeah, I never beat Crash 1 as a kid, but I did beat it in the Insane Trilogy.
Apparently one of the games, or maybe just across the board, the physics are a bit different in them. So like some people who are hardcore on them found them like, oh, the timing's off. I can't do this now. Like I was just playing this a week ago on PS1, but for some reason now I can't do it. Like
I remember could be part of it.
It might have got updated or something, but I remember some people complaining about that, and I can't really speak on it myself, but that could be it. So maybe it's not your fault.
Maybe it's the developer's fault. All right, that sounds good to me. I'll take that as a W.
You can yell at the input lag into the void as well, I guess.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then lastly for the Switch, Super Mario Maker 2. Literally infinite game. So
that's a solid choice, actually. When you think about that, just to continually create and make your own levels, and then on top of that, play those levels and get frustrated every time. I think that's good. Yeah.
So that rounds out my Switch list. That's actually all for $360. I mean, if you get that good deal on the Switch console, so that's not bad. Next up, I wasn't sure really where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to get some Sony stuff in there, and I wound up falling on the PlayStation 3. It just kind of had a good collection of things that I really enjoyed and stuff that would give me a lot of variety. Some of them I chose for weird reasons. So for the console itself, it said a PlayStation 3 Super Slim System 12 gig goes for about $69.95. So for the first game, I got Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. I think it's like a pretty decent game. I played all the way through it, just never beat the final boss because I'm dumb sometimes.
That's the story of Ryan, by the way.
But
I'm gonna beat 99% of a game, and then I'm just not gonna beat the boss.
99 complete is pretty much complete, so that's good enough for me.
But there's no end sequence, no end video for him.
But like I love Studio Ghibli and I love anime, and rather than like getting like a bunch of anime titles on this list, like this is a great game with some cinematic qualities to really remind me of home and the things that I miss while I'm stuck on the island.
And there's a lot to do in that game as far as like creature development.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of variety in which creatures you can raise, how you can level them up. I'm sure there's lots to kind of revisit and delve through. Next up, South Park Stick of Truth. Gotta have some laughs, gotta have some comedy. If I'm gonna be stuck on an island for the rest of my life, might as well have one really good long episode of South Park to watch as many times as I feel like. Fallout New Vegas. That's a great one. That's when you could certainly do a whole bunch of playthroughs in different ways. Dark Souls. I've never played the original Dark Souls, but
shame.
Between that and Dark Souls 2, I figure I'll go with Dark Souls original.
Good choice.
Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim and BioShock Infinite bundle for $9.05. I mean, I would have preferred. I was looking at the BioShock bundle on Switch, but it was like $20, and this bundle for the loose disc is just $9.05. So more game, less money.
What are you keeping those discs in?
Yeah, right.
You gotta leaves.
I'm gonna make
big leaves.
I'm gonna just have them. Yeah, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it. Maybe I'll have them all arranged in like a special wall with like little sticks that I could also stand in front of and suntan with, catch rays.
See, now you're gonna get sun bleach all over those discs. Can't protect them that way.
Well, you got a game store, so he's gonna sell you the games in a bag. Just keep them.
There we
go.
go. There we go.
In the bag. Okay. Well, I mean,
can I get a spool? Can I get a spool to keep all these discs on, please?
Is he being environmentally friendly though? I mean, is it a paper bag? Is it plastic? I mean, think about the sea turtles.
I've got $1.50 left over, $1.41 left over. I'll just see what I can manage to buy with that. Maybe I can get little sleeves.
One jewel case with all of them jam packed in the one jewel case.
Yeah. I'll just rotate them through the jewel case.
There you go. That could work.
Maybe they'll give you those little paper envelopes that GameStop keeps their games in.
Yeah,
most shops have that. They should have that.
Yeah, so you're not just stealing the games right off the shelf.
Yeah, roll for stealth, Fry, and see if you can steal paper envelopes.
Nice. Let's see. Next up, GTA 5. The whole reason I bought a PS3 again. GTA 5, another huge game, big story. I mean, GTA Online wouldn't exist, but, I'm sure there's still ways to run around in the main game and keep yourself occupied for infinite time.
Yeah, GTA Offline is just as fun.
Right. God of War Collection, my favorite game series. Love that. Gotta have that. Borderlands Triple Pack, just to get some first-person shooters in there. Those are big games, not infinite gameplay, but infinite guns. So it adds some kind of variety to every playthrough, I suppose, in some way. And having 3 of those games, or however many, I guess, aren't. Did they do download stuff on PS3?
Oh yeah,
they did. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I don't know how many of those games
are actually
had like
in 5 add-ons. But if you did buy the collection, it should come with a disc that installs it, I believe.
Yeah, it does.
Sweet.
I believe it does.
Yeah, they didn't do what you're referring to is like with the Switch, right?
Yeah.
Where you would have to download
The
physical-
download,
No,
yeah.
they all came on the disc. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured. And then Final Fantasy X 10-2 HD remaster. I love Final Fantasy X. If there was one RPG I had to get stuck with, that'd probably be one of the ones I would choose. And then 10-2, I don't know. I never had a lot of love for that game, but it's got a lot to look at, I guess.
Pun intended.
Yeah, those Game of the Year editions were real awesome last gen because, like, I think, or 2 gens ago, I guess. Because I think the newer ones would just give you a code to download the stuff, which is pretty crap. But like 360 PS3 were pretty good for giving you another disc that had all the DLC on it.
Or sometimes already on it too.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know
So
the New
all
Vegas one did that.
Mm-hmm.
All that PS3 goodness comes out to $138.33, which I'm actually super surprised that you can get all that stuff for that much. I mean, it's all loose, so if you're actually, collecting, your prices may vary.
But if you just want to play, that's solid.
Yeah, all in all, total, I've got 22 titles for Switch if you're not counting if you are counting the downloadable games, 17 for the PS3. Total budget $498.59 with a total of 39 games.
Not
And
bad.
I think I would last pretty well off that bundle for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I like that. Well, Church, what did you have?
Yeah, so this was a tough one, trying to choose what platform I wanted to go with. The idea of like a PlayStation 2 was kind of good because I think I could do PS1, PS2, retro stuff like Super Nintendo. I kind of kiboshed on that because, few games would take up the whole list. Chrono Trigger itself is like $150 now or something. So I kind of went kind of basic with my list. I went with the PlayStation 4, and I just went with the PlayStation 4. And my logic was, I'm just going for like the cream of the crop. Some of the best games ever made.
You gotta say
I
it
got
like
a few.
Macho Man. Come on, man.
What's that?
You say cream of the crop and not say it like Macho Man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You need to restate that, please.
Cream of the crop always rises to the top.
There you go.
There you go.
So this is a lot of kind of like basically a lot of my favorite releases for the PlayStation 4, and fortunately a lot of them are very affordable. So like I said, kind of basic, but I think a lot of people would be like, good games. So first up, I got the PlayStation 4, the 500 gig slim model was only $163.50. So I'm going slim on this one. And then first game I got is God of War, remake, 2018 God of War.
If that's the whole list, you already won.
Yeah, just replay that over and over. Then I have Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't have a lot of open world games. I got a few open world games on here, but if you're gonna get some replay value, spreading out that time.
The DLC content for that game, Horizon Zero Dawn, is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's probably some of my favorite DLC ever made.
And the best weapon.
Unfortunately, I didn't ever get around to the DLC because I played the game at launch, and a lot of times when DLC comes out like a significantly the significant time later, I find it kind of harder to get back in, especially with DLC on like something like Horizon, where you go back in, they're not going to give you any of that like tutorial again.
No.
So remembering how to play all this game when you're going into like more of an advanced state makes it kind of tough.
I've made sure on certain games like that. So I picked up the Game of the Year edition specifically. For one, I didn't have a PS4 early on in the cycle. It probably is a couple of years into the cycle that I got a PS4. So I was lucky in that respect. And then it wasn't like I have to play Horizon because I really want to play this game and I'm so excited. It was, okay, cool. Like Game of the Year edition, I've heard great things. Let me go ahead and buy it. And it turned out to be like one of my favorite games of all time on the console.
Yeah. Next up, I picked Spider-Man because if you got a PlayStation 4, you got to have Spider-Man.
Does he see me looking at you? That's why.
Yeah. probably possibly arguably my favorite game on the PlayStation 4, Last of Us. Well, this is Last of Us Remaster, I should clarify. And then along with that, even though, you know, I wish I could have done PlayStation 5 for this list, because then you get, you know, the backwards compatibility to the PS4 and could have got a couple of the PS5 games, but I digress. So this one might suffer a little bit on the PlayStation 4, but The Last of Us Part 2 without having the Pro, because I mean, if you have Last of Us, you gotta have Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
As you know, I know some people aren't as hot on that, but I love it myself.
There's some pretty hot scenes in that, though.
Yes. Hey, you know, might need a little something on Desert Island.
You gotta have something, right?
Hope you got Witcher 3 in there then.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I actually didn't remember if this was released on PlayStation 4, but apparently it was, and it's something that you are currently playing, I believe. And I got Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Because gotta have some From Software, and with that, I also got Bloodborne and Dark Souls Remaster. So lots of From Software love on this Desert Island, and you know, those are games that you can replay. You can do different builds. Like, you can get so much replay value out of those.
Did you see the recent article in Elden Ring where a guy has hit the maximum amount of time that you can play in a game?
That is bonkers.
It's like 999 hours, 99 minutes, and 99 seconds, and it does not go beyond that.
So he just can't play anymore?
You just can't. No, you can keep playing.
The timer
keep,
just doesn't.
The timer is just done. Like, it just won't keep going.
Although it just like shuts it down. It's like, fucking go outside, dude.
That's all it says. Is like, you need to go outside in red lettering.
I mean, they must have not considered that people are going to be playing this on PC, and PC players will, you know, they'll play those games and ad nauseum, you know, especially with mods and all that. Good thing Steam has its counter for those people, but on a desert island, unfortunately, we don't have that benefit.
Right.
Although I didn't really put any multiplayer considerations into my list, so if I have the shop owner playing with me, you know, get a little co-op going in Elden Ring.
That's true.
And,
otherwise,
you know,
but there's no internet though.
Oh yeah, that's
Yes, you're a little
right.
screwed
You can't
in
even
that
do
regard.
local. Oh well,
No,
gotta get good then. Just gotta get good.
Gotta get good.
That's, in Elden Ring right now, I'm at like, I think 50 hours in right now, and I'm only level 95. And some of the bosses are like, yeah, you should probably be like level 120 to get to that point. Like,
yeah,
I'm easily me putting in 120, 150 hours in this game.
And you're so I remember a couple episodes ago you'd mentioned that you were not having luck summoning people.
So I am now, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been getting super lucky. So for a while there, I was having to just go solo on so many bosses. I'd use the whatever that thing is. And obviously, you know, we're kind of pre-recording this one, so I might be done with the game by then. But yeah, like I was doing the summoning thing at the summoning pools, and like nobody's symbols were coming up at any point. So I don't know if I was too high of a level or I was too low of a level at the time. Whatever it was, I was just soloing bosses for quite some time there. And I still haven't found a decent set of armor that I like. So I'm actually using armor that I've been using since like level 10.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I had any like cool armor until like way late in the game. Like all the armor that I thought looked cool and had good protection was like late game stuff.
Well, and on top of that, my endurance is not like the highest stat for me because I've built into a lot of strength, a lot of dex, faith, and like arcane specific, or not arcane, intelligence for like specific weapons. So now I'm getting to a point where I'm like, well, shit, now I need endurance to be able to, you know, hold up certain pieces of armor. And so now I'm getting, you know, coming across decent armor, but I'm too low endurance. Now I'm having to pump everything into endurance. I'm actually heavily considering going to, I forget her name. I think it's Melania, whatever her name is. And using one of his like embryos.
Renala.
Renala. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like Renala with an M at his last name. I don't remember. But going to her and like redoing my stats.
Yeah, I don't think it was Donald Trump's wife. Yeah, it was someone else.
Oh yeah.
you get a ton of those.
Yeah, you can
respec as many times as you want.
Yeah, I might have to, because like it's cool. Like what I'm doing is no issues. Like I'm fine. But I'm coming into situations where I'm like, man, I really kind of wish I'd be able to do like X. You know, and I can't now. But it's all good. Like I didn't have that option to me in other Souls games in the past. So like, why do it now? And one of my favorite Souls games, is you've probably heard in some of the episodes, of Sekiro. So that's my all-time favorite out of all of them. And that's by far the hardest one. So
Yeah.
Elden Ring being the easiest one, I think over time I can just kind of build up and defeat bosses with no problem.
Totally. Yeah. And unfortunately, with Elden Ring being a newer game, it's a bit more expensive. I got a few games that, it's like, the price, but can't pass up on quality sometimes. So yeah, so Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Dark Souls Remaster. Unfortunately, at this time, being trapped on a desert island, we get this incomplete series, but you can enjoy the first part of this over and over. And I put Final Fantasy VII Remake because I just love that game. I wish there was they had like a physical collection that included like OG Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
that would have been really nice because I could definitely replay that game over and over. Remake, we'll see, but I had to put it on there. And then my most expensive game on this list, I needed because I wanted both of these games, and you can't have the second one without the first one. So I put Gravity Rush Remastered and Gravity Rush 2. And those games for me are just pure joy. Like, they're fun, they're charming, great story, great music, good times.
I actually bought Gravity Rush Remastered because you had mentioned it on
It
one
is,
of your things.
Not on one,
It is-
on several.
I will I will promote and hype that game as much as I can because I think there's so many people that just, you gotta give it. It's a great game. The gravity mechanics are a lot of fun, and it just kind of does its own thing. Great game. Hopefully we can get like a collection or some sort of follow up at some point, but who knows with Team Japan being dissolved.
Yeah.
They closed down that studio and pushed them all over into Team Asobi, I think it was, who do the Astrobot games, which are great games. Not gonna lie, but man, what a great studio that was.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we see something down the road. I mean, you never know, man, with a lot of these titles that are, I wouldn't say like popular, but more cult classic style titles, you often do see those get like, remasters.
Yeah, and Gravity Rush was one of those because it was a PS Vita game.
PS Vita, yeah.
Yeah.
And then surprisingly, they did the remaster.
And then number 2 shortly after.
Yep.
Nice.
Then I got Hollow Knight. I needed some indie love on this list. There's not a lot of indie games here, unfortunately, but Hollow Knight was a must because that's just a beefy game, lots of content. Again, you can kind of do some different things. You can explore it in different ways and try some different builds. So
do some sequence breaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I don't have a lot of collections on my list, but of all the collections I had to have Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And, that's a good chunk of time just to play through. And then, you can turn around and play Renegade. And because I'm a Paragon guy myself, but, get a good little Renegade run through there. And then with Mass Effect, so once I created my list, I had like $6.80 or something like that left. And I was looking at what games on the PlayStation 4 loose. All my games are loose. But I was looking at what games were loose that were under $6 or $7, and Mass Effect Andromeda was $6. So I was like, you know what? We'll just slap that in there.
Complete the collection.
I like Andromeda. I know a lot of people aren't so hot on it, but it's get a little bit of a time out of that game and kind of round out the series is the way I saw it.
Once it
now,
gets
will
going,
the game store owner let you patch the game?
This is pre-patch, so there's going to be a little bit of jank there, but.
So how are you storing? Also in a plastic bag?
Yeah, I'll just keep them in the plastic bag. I'll just be careful. Maybe put them on a branch so you keep the sand out, and there's got to be some like leaves.
There's some cover.
Trees.
Yeah, there's some cover.
Something.
We're gonna cross our fingers every day. An old car like folder for holding CDs washes up on the shore from Garbage Island or something.
Yeah, maybe he has a binder in the back from the last time somebody traded in like all their games, because a lot of people, non-collectors, people just, oh, I got some video games. They just throw away the cases and throw them in the binders, you know?
Now remember, you also have that copy of Joe Montana's Sports Talk that's sitting there on Sega that you can't play too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can.
You can use that as
Somehow turn
I
it
don't
into a game holder.
Yeah.
Hey,
Maybe
you could-
take it apart and turn it into wind chimes.
Something. So let's see. Next up, I have Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. It's a really great game. Tons and tons of replay value out of that. So many ways you can approach the missions, and it's just a great game. So threw it on there. Near Automata.
Mm-hmm.
Talking PlayStation 4, I gotta have Near Automata on there. Just great game.
And that's a big long one too. That's got like multiple playthroughs even to figure out what's going on in the story.
Yes. Then I have Red Dead Redemption 2, another beefy game. Figured if I was gonna put something Rockstar on there, I was like, GTA 5 would have been a great one too, but just couldn't fit it in my budget. Like, I would have kind of pushed out Andromeda if I could have put in GTA 5, but prices just weren't matching up, and I was pretty happy with the rest of my list as was. So we got Red Dead Redemption 2, and then I needed some Resident Evil. I was thinking about the Origin Collection, but again, pricing just wasn't working out for me, so I got Resident Evil 2 Remake. And you got the different campaigns, you got the time trial stuff with like Hunk and Tofu, and that you can kind of play quite a bit. One of the other collections I have is Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, because
Yeah,
we're talking PlayStation, you gotta throw that in, and for the price, it's just under $14, or no, it's just under $10.
that's got a lot of great stuff on.
That's sick, dude, to be under $10 for that title.
Yes. And then the other collection, under $14, one of my favorite game series of all time, The Walking Dead Telltale Definitive Series. Again, here's a game that you could have some different outcomes. Those outcomes are really going to be whether or not who survives or not. But just if you want a really like powerful story experience, that one will keep you invested for a good amount of time. And then talking about a good amount of time, as Jason had mentioned earlier, and keeping you entertained in various ways, is The
Last of
Witcher
Us
3.
2. That was good. Last of Us 2 scene.
Witcher 3 will get you all those scenes. Surprisingly cheap game too, under $7 for Witcher 3. Unfortunately, I don't believe the physical version includes the DLCs.
No, if you get it, it has to be like, I think, download on there for the Game of the Year version.
So unfortunately, no Blood into Wine or Hearts of Stone, but still, that's a beefy game.
Yeah.
So that is my list, and my final price was $499.17.
Damn.
Man,
So
right there.
assuming we're in international waters and it's tax exempt,
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Yeah, we are assuming.
That's a
you
solid
could work
list.
off
I
the
mean-
tax if need be.
Yeah,
be
that's
there a
true.
while.
You got the
Yeah.
shop owner, right? He needs you to dust off empty shelves.
Yeah, I would have liked to have more indie stuff, because indie stuff is like really the story stuff, or like some really cool gameplay elements, but lack of internet. Unfortunately, a lot of indie games are download. And sadly, the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove isn't a physical version on PlayStation 4. So I would have loved to have that on there, because that's 4 really great games, but
Yeah.
I digress.
Nice. Well,
That's
was
a
also
solid list for like modern console. You were able to get like a ton of games on there too, and like a really respectable library. Like going out and dropping $500 on a PS5 or $500 on a PS4 and all those games, like there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it honestly kind of speaks to the fact that last gen with PS4 is just such a great list of games that you can kind of pull from. I mean, that's a good amount of stuff. Like if you're buying that for like a family member or something, as a parent, like that's solid.
Yeah,
Or you found that as a
absolutely.
pickup?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and all that for less than the price of a PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's insane. That's good stuff. All right, Jason, you're up. We gotta hear about your games.
Wow
All right.
us.
So, not really well. I picked something that I was thinking Desert Island, so I was thinking modern consoles. There's going to be updates, day one patches. It's going to leave a lot of stuff unplayable, honestly, because they kind of they green light it and then they update it. So I wasn't even going to ask if that was a thing we were factoring in, but I basically just went with the first thought I had. I had some afterthoughts, as I shared before we started recording, but I only had about an hour to work on this, so I figured, I'm gonna go. Since we could have multiplayer, I went with the N64 because I knew no one else would go for that. So, I did okay. But yeah, goddamn, some of these games have jumped up in price. Even the ones that I was like, yeah, no one cared about those games. They're still going to be cheap. Yeah, even some of those people must have caught on to. So the console itself, 4361, not bad. Then I got to have the staples. Got Mario, got Zelda, Ocarina of Time, got GoldenEye, because that's infinitely replayable. As when people say it doesn't hold up, you just didn't
They're
play it
wrong.
enough back in the day. It holds up. Just got to re-cripple your hands in the N64 position there.
We could add to your list of Brawler 64 controllers so you don't have to cripple your hands.
Yeah. No way.
You got to
I'm
spend
fine
the
with
rest of your life arguing over who plays Odd Job.
Yeah,
No
right.
odd job.
And then we got Mario Kart 64, Perfect Dark, which is actually the game I prefer. Because even if I'm not playing with the shopkeeper, if I pissed him off playing GoldenEye, I can play Perfect Dark multiplayer by myself with bots endlessly. And honestly, I did a shit ton of that because I didn't always want 3 friends over, to be honest. So I could play that. I could make them as easy or hard or a mixed bag to play against. So I thought that was a good one. That's actually a game that was cheaper than I was expecting. I'm not gonna tell the price of every game, but I'll mention the ones that I think are like kind of stupidly priced now. Then I got Star Fox 64, Banjo Kazooie, WWF No Mercy. For the longest time, like a $6-8 game. People got caught wind that it's like the best wrestling game of all time. So now it's $32 almost.
Dang.
What?
I was
Damn.
like, what in the hell? It's more than Mario. It's more than GoldenEye. It's more than Perfect Dark. It's more than Star Fox. It's more than Banjo Kazooie.
Wow.
It's growing. So that was the biggest surprise out of all these to me. I was like, oh yeah, it'll be like $10 with how crazy prices are going right now. But I'm like, yeah, $32 almost. Goddamn. One of the most expensive games on here.
And that's game prices kind of dropped too from their peak earlier this year.
And that's actually it's the second most expensive game on my list. Which I thought was going to be like one of the, I got a couple bucks left, get it. But it's absolutely integral to my list. I could play this game forever. And so it had to be on the list. I got Turok 2, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, Jet Force Gemini, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, Gauntlet Legends, the only game that was more than WWF No Mercy.
What the hell's that game going for?
$36.93.
That's just dumb.
If you notice something missing from my list, there's a reason, because it went stupid priced. Like, that's
Mario Kart.
That's a fifth. Oh, Mario Kart is on here, and it's 30. It's 34. Oh, it's 34. Okay, sorry. That's one of the only other games that's more than WWF No Mercy, but has to be on there. Then we got 1080 snowboarding, because why not? Whatever. I'm thinking mostly multiplayer with my list. That's why I kind of chose the N64. We got WCW NWO Revenge. There we go. There's around the price point I was thinking No Mercy would be at, but it's I've got Mortal Kombat Trilogy, WWF WrestleMania 2000. Bit more than I was expecting, but more affordable than the other one. We got Vigilante 8, Rush 2, and Diddy Kong Racing. And my grand total comes to $498 even. So
Nice.
Nice.
21
That's solid
games.
for N64.
Yeah.
21 games. I had to, as you guys know, I was tallying it up right before we started recording because I thought I'd done that. But so I had to get rid of a few that are sorely missing, like Duke Nukem, stuff like that. Doom 64 was 35, and it was like a last minute. I gotta nick something big or a bunch of little ones, so I got rid of that. Paper Mario never made it onto the list because it's like $73 or some shit, and I was like, no. So
I
what's
know.
crazy
that
is
was that's one of my favorite N64 games, so that one hurt a lot.
Yeah.
There's a few that I like, but not enough to add them to the list for the price they're going for. The price
What's
I
crazy
would
is we're-
actually get them for off the island. You betcha, but
But we're doing like, price charting prices, obviously, right? So I kind of question like if they're even supposed to be higher because are they factoring in some of the, knockoff carts that have come out in recent years? Like RV's a little higher. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter for our purposes because we're just going based off price charting. So it's factored in at 500. But
I mean, his delivery costs got to be through the roof. So I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's giving me bro prices on all these still.
Yeah.
By just giving me
Airdrop.
price charting.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me dive into mine.
The boat can drop by like any game that comes out, but apparently can't like pick me up.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. Yeah, that's what it says. It's airdropped. There's not enough space to have a boat or anything. They
drops a crate.
airdrop it. Yeah, crates come from the sky.
Sweet.
That's the only way it happens. All right, so I went kind of dumb on what I was doing. So I chose both GameCube and Super Nintendo on
Ooh.
mine. Yeah. So
Okay, I was starting to
Big
feel bad.
spender.
So you got
Yeah.
6 games. This will be quick.
right. So I also went loose on all of my stuff. But I will tell you up front my cost. Ryan, do you have my cost totaled or do I need to
Yeah.
total it
So
real quick?
you totaled out at 489.72.
Enough space there to be able to buy cases, like to be able to hold my games. So I thought ahead on that one. All right. So we'll kick it off with GameCube. Loose console right now is sitting at $66.56 for a black GameCube. I also, for multiplayer purposes, threw in a black controller sitting at $30.34, which that in itself is ridiculous. Like GameCube controllers sitting at $30. So got that. Also, a 16 megabyte 251 block memory card is sitting at $15.83. I don't know if Ryan, you factored in a memory card on your PlayStation 2
PlayStation 3.
or PlayStation 3. Okay, so you're good.
Yeah, I thought about that. And
Yeah.
I only chose single player, and the Switch comes with 2 controllers. So
Okay, so
I thought
solid.
it through.
So I had to go memory card route, which definitely sucked. I'm assuming unlimited batteries, by the way, on my Super Nintendo. Just
Batteries
heads
are
up.
fine. Don't worry
Yeah,
about batteries.
Batteries are fine. All right. So game wise, first GameCube game, we're looking at Mario Kart Double Dash. Loose copy runs you $47.48, which is just stupid.
I think that's
Let's
the
go for
most expensive game anybody picked. Did you pick anything more than that, Church?
Gravity Rush
Elden Ring.
Remastered was 60-80.
So that's
What,
the
Elden
most
Ring?
expensive
Elden
game
Ring's gotta
anybody
be close,
picked.
too.
What was that, Jason?
I said Elden Ring's got to be close too. being a brand new
38
game.
for Elden Ring.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
loose copy. My next game was Super Smash Bros. Melee, which totaled at a 45.17. So there goes almost a fifth of my budget on just 2 games. But those are 2 games that I could spend countless hours playing. The GameCube or Double Dash is my favorite Mario Kart. Being able to play that multiplayer, hence the controller, as well as the cups and everything else, just getting good at that game and all the unlockables. It's always just a lot of fun to play. Melee, come on, like how many hours have we all spent playing Melee? Like it's a solid game, and it's one that with all the unlockables and of course the multiplayer aspect of it, just one-on-one, is just a lot of fun. Next thing I have on here is Midway Arcade Treasures at $10.99. And the reason I picked that is because I was smart about it and figured I need to have more than just 6 games. So I've got 720 Degrees. I got Blaster, Bubbles, Defender, Defender 2, also known as Stargate, Gauntlet, Joust, Joust 2, Clax, Marble Madness, Paperboy, Rampage, Rampart, Road Blasters, Robotron 2084, Root Beer Tapper, Satan's Hollow, which I had no idea Satan's Hollow was on there, so now I'm excited to actually open up my Midway Treasures copy. Sinistar, Smash TV, hours of fun on that. Splat, Spy Hunter, Super Sprint, Tubin, which is actually a lot of fun, and Vindicators. So I think that in itself is worth it on the console. The next game I have on here is Super Monkey Ball 2. You got to have some Super Monkey Ball in your life. If you have not played that game, you should. Soul Calibur 2, to put in a fighting game there on the GameCube, is and that's $17.99. Super Monkey Ball was $18.29. But Soul Calibur 2 is one of my all-time favorite fighting games on the console. I've always had a lot of fun playing that, and it's a great multiplayer title. Next is Tony Hawk Underground at $9.72. My favorite Tony Hawk game out of all of them, even over Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I've always enjoyed that title. I've always enjoyed the aspect of the story mode, plus all of the the aspects that are tied into that, and just getting good at it.
2 was awesome too.
Yeah, 2 is awesome.
Even though it was basically Viva La Bam, the game.
Right.
The next one here is Medal of Honor Frontline. That's probably going to be the most surprising one for y'all.
Yeah.
That one's at $5.10 for a copy of At Loose.
How much is Rising Sun? I liked Rising Sun a lot.
I actually didn't play Rising Sun, but I played Frontline a lot. And so my brother and I used to play, multiplayer on that, just kind of verse each other to play Medal of Honor. And then the story on it wasn't too bad as well. So I think at $5, you really can't go wrong. My next thing that I've got here is the Super Nintendo system, $69.83 for Super Nintendo. I got the Advanced Control Pad for $367 for my multiplayer. The first game I have on here is Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 at $34.99. That is stupid expensive for this game.
Yeah, it is.
But it was actually my first Mortal Kombat game. It was one of the first games I ever had as a kid. And I played countless hours of that. And it takes some time to really get good at Mortal Kombat, learn the fatalities and all that. So I think that there's a lot of time spent doing that.
That's why I had a trilogy on mine for sure, because I was like, it's basically all 3 games together.
Yeah. Donkey Kong Country 3 is my favorite Donkey Kong out of the 3 that are on the Super Nintendo. That comes in it. Yeah, so I actually prefer it over number 2. I think, what it was for me is the banana birds and then the boat building and such, plus all of the unlockable levels.
Okay.
It was just a lot of fun.
Sure, yeah.
And then
It's
just
a cool game.
every place has their different element, right? So you have your snow levels in its own little world. You got your beach level. You've got your mountain level. All of that's in its own place. So I just always enjoyed that game, and it felt a lot more fluid to me than the other 2 titles.
I just identified with the long hair and the ponytail swinging around.
Yeah, Kiddy Kong is low key one of my favorite Kongs, actually. I just don't know what it is. I just enjoyed playing that game with him. So that was $23.88. The next thing I have here going, multi games as well, is Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World at $33.61.
It's a good pick.
You can't go wrong with Super Mario 1, 2, and 3, as well as Lost Levels and World.
Yeah.
That's a ton of fun to play those. Let's see. And that rounds out my list. Those right there.
It's a good list.
So looking at it without including the Midway Treasures, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, no, it doesn't round out my list. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on here. So, sorry, the other ones I had on here were Super Ghouls and Ghosts on Super Nintendo at $20.89. You can spend countless hours just getting past level 1.
Mad at that?
Yeah, and get angry and break the control. And then the last one I have here is Battletoads and Double Dragon Ultimate Team on Super Nintendo, and that one is sitting at $35.38. So my thought on that was get some hard games in there. They're going to take a lot of time to get good at them. It'll take countless hours to get good, and then having enough multiplayer to go in between to have some actual fun.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, we all chose completely different consoles.
So yeah, that's cool. I have to ask, if you could choose one person's island to go on and play their collection versus your own, who would it be?
Church.
Church.
Yeah, we all screwed up. We should have just grabbed PS4s.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking, like I said, I didn't have much time, so I kind of went with my first thought. I was thinking either 360 or PS4, but I was thinking Church might go PS4, maybe PS3. So I was like, all right, I'll leave that. And then I was like, I don't know if anyone's going to do 360, but I kind of, like I said, I found price charting kind of hard to just kind of browse and make a list.
The web version might be
because I could look at my wall, but then I'd have to cross reference and all
Yeah,
that. So I was like,
prices.
I don't got time to deal with it. And that's why I went with N64 because of the smaller library.
Hmm.
I ended up getting some pricier games, but also not too bad compared to, I ended up getting a lot of multiplayer stuff. So
Yeah, I like your list. All the wrestling is good on there too. I mean, people really don't consider, like, they don't think about wrestling when they think great video games, but wrestling games are actually pretty solid.
Yeah,
especially on the
even
64.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even like the PS2 versions, like the early on SmackDown games were fantastic, I felt.
oh yeah, it's weird how like technology advances and their games don't get better.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like I buy them every year. I bought every one in the series from SmackDown 1 to WWE 2K22.
Hmm.
And the Here Comes the Pain and Shut Your Mouth are still like the two best SmackDown games. The
Yeah.
only thing that Shut Your Mouth is missing is the body damage meter, because that was the one where you could throw them off the SmackDown fist, which would kill a guy. But in that game, just depends on how many moves you've done. They'll get up pretty quick. Whereas if like you had the body damage meter in that game, they would have acted right after getting thrown 30 feet right onto the concrete. But that's the only thing that made me mad, where I'd set someone up on a table after like kicking the shit out of them and want to jump off that fist and like smash them through the table, and they'd get up last second. I'm like, I think it was pretty randomized, because the backstages in those games used to be amazing. Like, I think it's Here Comes the Pain. You could like go anywhere in the arena. Plus, you could go outside and like a block away from the arena, in front of like their restaurant they had. I don't know, was it WWF New York or something? You could like destroy traffic and everything. I was like, God damn! And then like the next one comes out and it's a hallway. That's the whole backstage is a hallway and like the gym or something. And
It's like they gave
dressing
up.
room, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Have you ever like really dove into other wrestling games like Fire Pro Wrestling or Legends of Wrestling or anything like that?
Yeah. I don't watch wrestling really at all anymore. And if I'm watching wrestling, I'm watching like 20, 30, 40-year-old wrestling. I don't have, I cut off cable a long time ago, or else I'd probably keep up with AEW. Because
that's
anything
what I
I've seen of
watch.
that, it looks amazing.
I'll send you a link to watch that without cable.
Okay, sounds good. Because yeah, when I'm at work, there's a lot of time where I got to be nearby something, so I can watch TV, and often SmackDown will be on, and I try and I end up turning off after like 10 minutes because I'm either so bored or I'm like, what are they doing? the gimmicks and crap they got going on. I'm like, I'm just annoyed. And like I said, I still buy the games every year, but it's like I actually have had to check online. Like, this guy can't be a real wrestler. Like, this guy's just like a glorified creator wrestler that's just in the storyline, right? I'm like, oh my god, that's a real guy. I feel so bad for that guy. My dad still talks to me like I watch it every week. And he'd be like, oh, this guy, I'll be like, oh yeah, I beat that guy up. He's the one that kept trying to interfere. My dad looks at me, I'm like, wrestling games, I'm not insane. I don't think I'm part of wrestling, Dad. But yeah, he'll still talk to me about what's going on. I'm like, I don't even know who that is. Triple H, okay, yeah, I know that name, yeah. And he'll be like, mention some other guy. I'm like, no clue.
Yeah, AEW has been solid with like Sting and the Hardy brothers before Jeff got another DUI and such. Like, it's been solid to watch. Like, I've enjoyed it.
His spots in between hitting rock bottom are pretty good, I've heard. Yeah, I've been meaning to kind of catch up on it, but also time being what it is. I'm looking forward to their game coming out because apparently they got a game in the works. So
yeah, they do. I'm actually going to buy that one.
Yeah, I still love the games. I still, some of them suck. Sometimes they go like put all the eggs in one basket, and then they let something else just shit the bed. You're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need the sweat to be super realistic, but can I have a decent backstage? And or they'll have like a really cool creator wrestler, and I'll spend 6 hours making one that looks exactly like me, because you can like take a picture of something and like put it on a website and pull it into the game.
That's
So
cool.
I made my exact self, and I think it was like the 2K17 one, and then went to play the story mode, and it took all my moves away. And it's like, oh yeah, you got to buy those. I'm like, why did I just spend like 3 hours making a move set? It's like I'm in like my shirt, like my upper half is like what I created, and then I'm just wearing some generic like gym shorts and sneakers, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You almost had it going good. I was gonna be like, oh, this is
That's
a pretty good
why
one.
I always liked the Just Bring It. I think had the creator mode as well.
Oh, that thing was the memory card eater, isn't that? That's the third one, right? With
yeah,
Red
that's the
Durst
third
in
one.
it.
Yeah, that was a solid one.
That I hated that one because it took up 3/4 of my memory card, and like I played the shit out of 1 and 2, and you could like skip the matches that you weren't in, and it would take like 20 seconds on PS1, and then I'm playing the PS2 game, and it's like, man, I might as well watch these matches. It's taking like 5 minutes to skip through this. I did like kicking the shit out of Fred Durst, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I liked that one. He would come out in his car. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But what's great is that in the creator mode, you could actually get the Fred Durst entrance. So you could have your character with his arm and everything coming out.
I just like that you had to, I think you had to fight a gauntlet of people as the Undertaker.
You did, yeah.
I was like, well, that's what I was going to do anyway, so.
Yeah, it was a good game. I used to love playing that. So were there any games on our list, like for anybody that surprised you? Like any games in
They all
particular?
seemed pretty reasonable picks and made sense. I think I had like mine kind of got a little random there with like the Gravity Rush stuff. I think those, just because those are like less popular games, and definitely
there's
like
those core ones for you that are your choices. You know,
Well, I just kind of, I was, I love RPGs, and I was thinking about length of time you could play these games and stuff, and I was also thinking like, man, RPGs are so expensive on everything. They're more reasonable on like the last 2 gens, like 360, PS3, and Xbox One, and
even
PS4.
that's becoming unreasonable though.
But like, yeah, depends on what it is. If it's got a greatest hits version or what have you, you might be able to get it a bit cheaper. Like with some of the key PS4 titles, especially with them being like under $10, like the Nathan Drake collection. You can get God of War for cheap. You can get, like some of the best games on the system for under $10. You're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think Church beat all of us to the ground with his list.
Yeah. So like I said, I was thinking of that, and I forgot to ask, like, are we like considering updates? Because I'm like, I'm sure like most of those games would be unplayable. So I was like, I'll just
maybe a few issues.
That's what I had already made my list, and I'm like, I don't really have much time to elaborate or go through something else, and so I was like, I'll just pick something with a small library, and I'll just handpick what I really want out of it. So.
I mean, you and I took a similar approach. We went a little more retro.
Yeah, so it is what it is. Yeah, I wasn't gonna be brave enough to go Super Nintendo and GameCube, because I know those are always climbing. Whereas you get like a gen or two where like the last gen and maybe the gen before are like kind of bottoming out. Like 360, I kind of briefly looked, and I was like, damn, I should have went with this. Like Halo 3's like $4, and like the Gears of War games are like $3, and you're like, huh.
Yeah, you can get like the triple pack is like $15 for Gears of War. Yeah.
The most expensive PS3 title I had was the Borderlands triple pack, and that was $12.
Yeah,
I could have cleaned house if I had chosen PS3 first. I could have definitely shaved like some of those $30 Switch games out.
You had a unique situation you missed out on. You could have gone ahead and done the backwards compatible PS3 for yours.
That would have been way more than $70.
Yeah, but I mean, you're looking at 200 maybe.
Yeah, I was looking at that at first, because if you get the backwards compatible, then you can PS1, PS2, PS3. But
even if you don't do backwards compatible, sorry.
I think it's like I think I looked at it and I was really surprised what price charting had it at. I think I saw it at like 160, which I was like, that's That's pretty reasonable. It's about the same price as the PS4, but
Well, I think Jason was about to say what I was thinking is you could even go PS3 and you still have PS1 games that you could have added.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is like, even if you don't have the full backwards compat, every PS3 plays PS1 games.
But
so
the PS1 games that I would want are expensive.
Yeah. Well, and like, so Super Nintendo, when I was going through that, I loved my RPGs, but there was no, like, unless I want to pull like maybe Ease 3 or Ease 2 or whatever it is that's on Super Nintendo, or some of the like D&D games, which are those the type of RPGs that we're all thinking that we would want to play?
Yeah.
Not
Really.
really.
Like play Seven Saga forever.
Yeah. So there's, I can't throw Chrono Trigger on there, obviously, and I would have loved to have PS1 and do Chrono Cross, but I didn't go back.
Yeah, the PS1, obviously. You could have done the pack that has Chrono Trigger and
yeah, that's true.
I thought about it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty solid. I think Ryan could have done that on his. Ryan, if you would have gone with some PS1 games, I think you could have destroyed Church.
Yeah, I don't know. My initial thought was weird. My initial thought, I was thinking GameCube too, and I was like, how could I get other stuff on there? And I was like, what about like the Super Game Boy thing? And I was like, no, this is gonna get like,
oh my god, yeah, there's
stupid
whole
if
budget.
I start to customize out the GameCube itself.
Now, if we would have been able to go Retron 5, I think we all would have been like, yeah, let's go.
Oh yeah.
Next
time, next deserted island.
PS3, I would have done that and done Anthology.
Mm-hmm.
Anthology's 1187. There you go. There's your Chrono Trigger and another game for under $12.
Yeah, and there's a number, and PS3 has a lot of collections as well. I think the Sly Cooper collection is on there. Did Jack and Daxter have a collection on there as well?
Yeah. I looked at all the collections, and I didn't want to do all collection games for everything, so I left some of those out.
What were you saying, Jason?
Some of the collections started cheap, but they especially like the multi RPG games have been just going crazy.
Dude, that Arc the Lad collection behind you, that's been climbing as well.
Yeah,
I'm happy I got that when I did. Same with Lunar. That's
probably one of the best in-store things I got locally. I went and it was in our crappy Salvation Army. Like I might get a couple 360 games, odd GameCube game, maybe an N64 game once in like a long time. But I walked in and that was there, and I'm like, everything's in it. Who's donating this? And I was like, it was actually like one of my top of the list games, and I just happened upon it. I'm like, wow, I was like a week away from just like going, fuck it, I'll pay the $150 or whatever it was, and I think I got it for like $4 or $5.
Yeah. So, I talked about it on our episode 192. It's obviously going to be 200. So I talked about this pickup technically 8 weeks ago, right? But yesterday I ended up picking up an N64 at Goodwill, and I was shocked, absolutely shocked. But I almost missed out on that. There was a guy that was like right next to me, and I guess he was fiddling around with like a CD player or something. And I walked right by him, and I grabbed the N64 and 3 controllers, one of which being a Jungle Green. And he just looked at me. He's like, "Did you just fucking score an N64?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And like, I'm not kidding you. The guy was like looking at stuff sitting on the lower shelf, and the N64 was 2 shelves above him. It's like that's how close I was.
Eye level, if he had been standing.
Oh yeah, eye level. If he would have just been looking at it, he would have seen it. Like I caught it immediately. I'm like, "Yep, that's mine." And then I did the smart thing, which was ask an associate, like, "Hey, are there any games that came with this in the back?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, there's games that came in the back." And they brought out a box of like 13 games, one of which being Mario Kart.
Nice.
So
and it was like Goodwill, and they weren't asking like $99 for it, because that's all I've been seeing lately. For
this is the best part about it: $1.29 per game, and the one game that was $2.29 was Mario Kart.
Nice.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, all I've been seeing is how like it might as well be a retro game store now when you find that kind of crap, because I've seen some people be like, "Look, a PS1, $75." You're like, ugh.
I've gotten kind of lucky. This Goodwill, I guess, whoever they've gotten the back pricing isn't really considering a lot of that stuff. So like things like Halo 3, Halo 4, and so on have been like $6-7. But like I picked up Amazing Spider-Man on the 360, and it was like $4.
That's really surprising, because I thought Goodwill mostly took the video games and threw them on their online.
They do for certain titles, which was interesting. So I was like, "So N64, do you guys get that stuff in frequently?" He's like, "No, not really." And he's like, "We don't get that in." He's like, "But we do get things like PS5 and Xbox One, or not Xbox One, PS5 and like Series X games, but he says, but we send all those to Ecom. I'm just like, well, if you're sending PS5 to Ecom, why aren't you sending an N64 and other stuff to Ecom? Like, that didn't make any sense to me. So I got kind of lucky with that. But no, our good bills down in Arizona, they don't send things to like everything to Ecom. They actually put video games on the shelf.
Nice.
It's not always the best games, but you occasionally find like some decent titles. So I got the Gears of War triple pack recently from there, like a Dukes of Hazzard game on Xbox. I picked up PS1 games as of late. I picked up a $300 audiobook for Star Wars the other day. Like, it sells for about $300. I picked it up for like $2. It's insane, some of the stuff you come across. But I mean, it really takes dedication of going every single day at the same time as well. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of like I said, ours is kind of crappy, but I've scored some really cool shit there out of nowhere. I'm like,
yeah, right. I picked up a Resident Evil gun setup like for the Wii. So it was the Umbrella Chronicles they released as part of like a big dual set. It was a Wii plastic gun, but it had like Resident Evil on the side and the umbrella symbol and all that. And then there was a sticker that went onto a Wii controller on that as well. And they had that for like $4 for the two.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, you find solid stuff, but you just got to kind of just know what you're looking for and dig around. So I'm not surprised that you came across our...
Sorry.
What's that?
I was
going to say... Go on.
I was going to say, I'm fairly confident that I've just bought this whole town and surrounding area out of anything retro, and anything I happen upon is just completely random at this point.
Yeah. I mean, even some of the like PS3, PS4 titles you can come across can be of decent, quality, and worth buying at like a lower price point. The thing I always run into is, do I want to pay $5-6 for a game that's complete that I can buy online for 10? Like, probably not. Like, I always kind of look into it as I want to get a good deal at the same time. So unless it's like, I picked up the Halo 3 and 4 as of late because I didn't have them. But otherwise, like, if I see another one, I'm going to turn it down because why am I there's no point to buying an extra copy at like $5-6.
Yeah, so. I'll go out of my way and buy a extra copy of like a desirable game if I think like I might find a buddy that needs it. I kind of like that more than even like, I like finding new stuff, but chances are with like the more your collection grows, you're not going to find a lot of stuff that you need. But sometimes I'll be like, oh, at least I might be able to trade this for something I'm looking for, or I could just help a friend out with a solid game, save them a couple bucks, just give it to them.
And that's
what with Church and Chris like pretty often, actually.
Yeah, well, that's what was disappointing about the N64 collection I picked up, just because there was a handful of games I didn't have and everything else I did. So, and nobody I know needs them. Like, who doesn't have a copy of Mario Kart 64? But I know. Exactly. So it just
people are always asking me, like, when people know you're like the video game guy in town, I get constant out of nowhere messages from people who aren't my friends on Facebook, or just like, hey dude, you got a AV cable for a Super Nintendo? Do you have a GameCube controller? Do you have Mario Kart 60? Like, anytime I sell some games, like I'll sell my doubles or something, like people are like, hit me up asking for games that I don't have listed. I'm like, if I had it, it would be up, man. I do have it, but you're not having mine.
Not for you.
Oh, I thought you were just getting rid of your collection. I'm like, you think 30 games is my collection, pal?
This is not my ultimate power.
These are all triples, bud.
Yeah. Well, it was good having you guys on again. We'll probably wrap up the episode. I think we could probably talk game collecting and everything for hours and hours. So next time I'm in the Midwest, I'm going to hit you guys up because I think, Church, you're like 2 or 3 hours out of Chicago, right?
I live in a suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Okay. Yeah. Next time I'm in the Midwest, I'll let you know in advance. Maybe there's an opportunity because I know Chris lives out in Chicago. So I've been trying to get with him whenever I go out there, but haven't had a chance. All right. Well, guys, thanks again for hopping on. It's a lot of fun talking deserted islands and video games and shop owners.
Yeah, another congrats to your 200th episode.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, we were joined again by Church the Game Grinder and Jason the Corpse Load Gaming. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.